Hello everybody. I am sitting in my car at work at lunch, but the Lord was speaking to me this morning in my daily devotional and daily reading so strongly, and as I've stated in other videos, I'm trying to be obedient even when it's not easy, but He's really been speaking to me on this all day, so I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way so that my nerves will calm down. First off, let me ask forgiveness because I am sitting here by the pink box of sin that I picked up on my lunch break. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Crumble cookies. So, and no, I'm not endorsing, paid by, none of that. Don't have rights, whatever I'm supposed to say on all that. But clearly my priorities were a little skewed because I picked those up before I did the video. So, Lord forgive me, but I am here now. And I would like to talk about the story of Esther. If you are a Christian or really just don't live under a rock, you probably know the story of Esther, and you know, it's all centered around such a time as this. Like maybe she was created for such a time as this. Maybe she was put in the palace for such a time as this. And truthfully, that is a very valid, inspirational story, but that centers around Esther and her obedience and her surrendering to God's will. But I saw it from a different perspective this morning, and so I just kind of want to share with you. And I'm going to try to do it quickly because, again, I am on my lunch break, so it's a little weird sitting out here in my car on my lunch break. But I want to point out, like I said, it centers around Esther's obedience and Esther's role in her story. But I want to point out all the ways God was working behind the scenes. And some of you are probably like, okay, girl, get with the program. This is old news. But for me, it was just a light bulb after another light bulb after another light bulb moment this morning to show how God really lines up so many things in our life, and we probably don't even realize all the things He touches to make things work out for us. So I'm not going to read really a lot of scripture. I'm going to hint at it, point at it, and I need my glasses to do that because I am blind. I do wear contacts to be able to see far off, and then I have to wear glasses, reading glasses to see up close. So getting old is so much fun. But I want to point out, like I said, all the ways that God was moving on this situation. Yes, Esther was obedient, but God worked out so many things. And then I also want to talk about God's timing. They kind of go hand in hand and run in tandem with, you know, the way He's working things out, and He does it in His time. So first off, I want to point out that Esther starts out with King Xerxes, and again, I don't know how to pronounce all these names. I'm just going to roll with it. But it starts out with King Xerxes in the 3rd year of his reign, and at that time, Queen Vashti was the queen. And so it starts out with celebration, a really long celebration. I don't know how anybody had energy to be celebrating for no 180 days or whatever they did, but anyway, that's what they were doing. So King Xerxes wanted Queen Vashti to come out so that people could admire her beauty. So he followed the procedures, and he sent, you know, for her to come out, and she refused. So he immediately consulted wise advisors. Now, the first person we should consult should always be the Lord, but He does put wise people in our life, and we should seek wise counsel. So let me just throw that out there. Okay, so he sought wise counsel who knew all the Persian laws and what he could and could not do, and they asked for his advice. So first off, God had to move on her to buck the system so that He could then banish her from the kingdom to make way for somebody else. Wonder who He's going to put in that place. Let's keep looking. So He does banish her, and then so God moves upon Vashti to rebel so that God can move her out of the way. And you know, truthfully, we don't ever know. This side of heaven, we'll probably never know all the ways that God moves in our life to make things happen for us, for our favor, because He wants to bless us, right? Okay, so then they decide that they're gonna write this decree, and you know, they're gonna send out for all these women to come, for the king to take his pick, so to speak, and replace Vashti. So it just so happens that Mordecai, who again is Esther's cousin, right? But he adopted her into his family because her parents had passed away. Again, I'm not saying the death of parents is in any way good, but had that not happened, Esther would not have been in the palace. So God put all those pieces into place. It also happened that Mordecai had found favor with the king because he had overheard a plot to kill the king, and so he told Esther, who told the king, who then was able to thwart their efforts, and no weapon formed shall prosper, right? So he thwarted their efforts and impaled them on a pole. So Mordecai found favor with the king because he saved the king's life, in essence, because God, again, moved on that situation, put him in the place he needed to be to hear those plans of the enemy. Okay, not only that, Haggai, I don't know how to say that either, but I'm going to go with Haggai, found favor in Esther. He met Esther, and he just really took her under his wing. Again, God moved on his heart to find favor with her. Okay, so then that happened. So then you've got Esther beating out all the other competition, and the king loving her so much and putting her in place. Again, God moved upon his heart that she would be his choice. So there's so much more in this story that we could just see how God's hand moved invisibly behind the scenes, so to speak, on things that may be small, but when you add it all together, there are no coincidences. And I'd like to point out a couple other things, because if we look back on our life, I know my story would blow your mind if I told you, because it blows my own mind. There were things that happened in my life, that decisions that were made that I really wanted to go another way, but something in me said, no, I know you want to do it this way, but do it this way. And doing it this way led to something else that wouldn't have happened had I done it the other way. And then it was just like a domino effect. All good, all positive, all things that I know the Lord was moving and working out for my good. But I want to point out something, because I know I've been dealing with some things for a long time, and I've been in prayer about it. I'm like, Lord, I'm doing everything right. I'm tithing, I'm praying, I'm trusting you, but am I really, you know? Because when we stay in worry and fear, that is basically saying we don't trust God to do, and it's hard, it's, you know, human, but that is in sense lack of faith, right? So I just want to point out that God moved on this situation in so many ways, and those things take time to line up. But I want to point out something else that I saw this morning, in addition to all the ways that God just moved upon people to get them in just the right place at just the right time. So I told you back in Esther 1 at the king's banquet, this began the 3rd year of his reign, okay? Then I want to point out that as they brought forth the virgins for the king to take his pick, they put them through beauty treatments, okay? I mean, spa days, okay? But it says, before each young woman was taken to the king's bed, she was given the prescribed 12 months of beauty treatments. 6 months with oil of myrrh, followed by 6 months with special perfumes and ointments. Okay, so in the 3rd year of his reign, he has a falling out with Vashti, and she's out. And then all this time invested to get just the right person. So another thing I want to point out is that talks about when Esther was taken to the king. The 7th year of his reign. That is 4 years, y'all. You over here praying and mad because God didn't answer like in 5 minutes. Me too. I'm guilty. This 4 years. And really, if you consider the fact that you really take this all the way back to Esther's parents dying and Mordecai taking her in, it's more than 4 years. Okay, and then you fast forward to the full, you know, Haman's plot to kill the Jews, and, you know, that not working out because Esther's there and she steps up, and you know the rest of the story because you know it from Esther's point of view, or Esther's obedience and her strength and her faith, and Mordecai's, you know, encouraging her, and everything lining up there where because he'd found favor with the king because he was in the right place at the right time, and now the king doesn't really love this whole plot that Haman's schemed up because he finds favor with, you know, obviously his queen, his bride that he handpicked, but also with Mordecai. So my thoughts today are, number one, if you're frustrated with things not going the way you want them to, not working out the way you want them to, not happening as fast as you want them to, not lining up the way you want it to, step back, like way back, and see how God is lining things up. See what things he's moved around. See what things he's maneuvered behind the scenes. Like, really think about it. You won't know all of them, but you'll be able to identify some of them. And then think about how perfect his time is. It's never late. It's never early. It's always right on time. And let that be an increase to your faith today. That's all I want to say. Have a great day. Bye.